Bread of heaven, that's what we call you. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
To the call, we apparently have a situation here where people are being put into the waiting room. We don't want that. All righty. Oh, yeah. And that's all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, guys, hold on one second. We have somehow or another. All right, it seems like Zoom has done some incredible updates, and I guess they're putting everybody in the waiting room now. This is interesting. This won't be working. We got to figure this out. Everybody stand by. We will figure it out. I promise you. Oh, that's got people muted up on entry. See if you can unmute yourself. Oh, yeah. Allow people to unmute themselves. Okay, cool. All righty, cool. Coach Juarez, see if you can mute yourself. 13. Coach White, see if you can unmute yourself. It won't? All right, what about now? No?
You have to unmute about.
I got you.
Okay, good deal.
I want to make sure that you can unmute yourself. Viv, see if you can unmute yourself. We got folks logging in. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the meeting. Welcome to the Monday Mastermind. We're just trying to see if we can. You can unmute yourself, Viv. Okay. Welcome, guys. Welcome. We're gonna get through it. That's all right. Welcome to the call. It's 8 o'clock straight on the dot. It has been a busy but productive day. You guys know how it is when you're coming up on closeout. How many of you excited about closeout? Man, this is an exciting time. Exciting times.
I was just saying I can't be on 2 Zooms at the same time.
Oh, somehow Renee was able to get on. Okay, that's interesting. Sunyata, let me know if you could say something. I see you on here.
Good evening, Mr. Wilkins. I can see you and hear you loud and clear as well, sir.
All right, good deal. All right, so Zoom has apparently done some updating, and now it's asking, it's literally putting everybody into the waiting room. But that's okay. We will just, I guess I'll have to periodically. How do you say that word?
Periodically.
Got him.
I'm going to have to periodically click on all of the folks coming on in. All right, welcome. This is exciting. This threw me for a loop. I thought my wife had done it, and I stormed out there to go holler at her and be like, hey, what you did to my Zoom? She's like, hey, pause for a second, sir. That's Zoom's updates. So anyway, all right, folks, welcome. If you're just getting on, go ahead and state your name, where you're calling from. Light up the chat. Let me know where you are. We are obviously excited. Monday Mastermind session, close of the month. And many of you are right there on the cusp of accomplishing your goals. Many of you are closer than you really realize, or even closer than you think. And so tonight's mastermind session is all about that. And so we're excited to have you. If you're just joining us, please state your name. I see Mr. Tracy Fisher is
Okay,
in the
here comes
house.
Jerry right here.
Who else is there? Who else is there?
Stephanie Allen, Baytown, Texas.
Oh, Stephanie Allen, you're back in the city.
I'm back.
All right, well rested, and I'm sure y'all worked on a whole bunch of nuts.
Indeed,
I was
we
telling
did.
somebody, this was a few months ago. They're like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, nothing." It's like, "Okay, good. Can you do me?" I said, "No. I ain't doing nothing. That's what I'm doing." Sometimes you ought to just not do nothing. And I know we're living in a society that says you need to be on the go all the time. You need to be working all the time. How many of you have seen the posts and the memes that say no days off, no days off? And so we as a society, we bought into that, and I understand that. What ends up happening, let me mute us out. What ends up happening is burnout. Burnout happens because you're not giving yourself an opportunity or a chance to be reinvigorated. You're not giving yourself an opportunity to really reassess. You know, one of the things that you hear me talk about all of the time is plan, do, and review. Plan, do, and review. And in that reviewing process, you want to be refreshed, okay? So always schedule some refresher time, because it's definitely necessary. All right, cool. We got messages from a couple folks. All right, folks. We've got people attempting to get on. I'm stalling as much as I possibly can. I'm gonna give it another minute and a half here as we get started. I know many of you are just coming out of the waiting room. We've had folks in the waiting room here, and many of you are just coming out of that. So welcome. I did have the lines open a moment ago, but we were getting some background noise and some technical difficulties. Yes, honey, you got right on, because in the settings, I guess if it recognizes the user, it'll let you on. But if it doesn't recognize the user, I'm just educating my wife on the new Zoom settings. You know, I'm proficient in this now. And I can't text because I'm on Zoom, babe. So anyway, Zoom will allow people to log right on in if it recognizes you part of this session already. So, or recognizes, I guess, your login ID before. But anyway, welcome everybody to the session tonight. Tonight is going to be a little bit different. I know we've done this before in the past. I call it our Ruby Roundtable. And most of you know my philosophy when it comes to building the business. We don't use people to build the business. We use our business to build people. And that's not just some semantics. That's really, it's really our desire. It's really our truth. We use our business to build the people. And what I mean specifically by that is your business, in terms of the stories that we create inside of it works. There ought to be some stories of success where whether it's, you know, with the products that people are using, or the business in terms of the success people are having. And those stories ought to be utilized to help build the belief, to help build the confidence in other people. And obviously, when people become a part of our business, one of the things that they quickly experience is the culture that it works. And they experience this culture and they see, and that's why I'm always cognizant, I'm always aware of what we're doing online and offline, because what happens is people are always looking for an example to follow or a warning to avoid. Please write that down. They're always looking at your page. They're always looking at your life as an example to follow or as a warning to avoid. And so I'm not callous. I'm not cavalier with things that I post and things that I share, whether they're authentic, they're real, different aspects and different parts of our life. You want to be able to share and market that. But one of the things that you want to be always cognizant and aware of is what you're sharing and when you're sharing, because again, this business is used to build people. And so I just want to, I felt led and compelled to share that for all of us, this is a time to review that. Remember, we're talking about some gentlemen tonight because I think it's going to be refreshing. A lot of the times, the questions I get from all of the incredible women in the company is, how do I recruit men? How do I recruit men into the business? And I'm almost tempted to tell them, we don't want to recruit men into the business. We don't want to mess this thing up, okay? We got a good thing going. We don't want to mess this thing up. But I know many of you, you've got husbands and you've got boyfriends, you've got spouses, and you've got brothers and cousins, and you're like, man, he would be good at this business and he would tear this thing up. And one of the challenges is, okay, where do I point these men? Or what are the stories of other men that their spouse or their wife is not building the business in their name, but they're the one recruiting. They're the one enrolling customers. That man is the one putting up his own host to post or, doing his own 3-ways. Where are those men? And so tonight, we've been blessed. We've got a team of both powerful men and women that are doing extremely well. And you hear from a lot of them all of the time. But tonight, I thought it would be fitting for you to hear from some of the up and coming men. Many of the rubies that we have, or a couple of the rubies that we have, and the emeralds that we have, the emerald builders that we have, because one of the things that you need to know is if you ever want to get to ambassador, okay? And some of you, that's a goal of yours, some of you it's not, but some of you have that goal. You have that dream to get to ambassador or become a VIP. I can tell you now, the strength of your business will be built and based upon the rubies that you're developing in your organization. The rubies. That's why I always tell people that ruby, for me, ruby is what I call the believer's position. Okay? It is the believer's position. One of the questions that we get asked all of the time, Jared, when are you guys getting promoted to ambassador? Okay, when are you going ambassador? And I always answer that question with this answer. When our team is promoting 20 rubies a month minimum, that's when we'll go ambassador. Why? Because I base everything on the structure and the state of new rubies being promoted, okay? New rubies. So if you look at it, you take 20 rubies. What's the volume? And you guys come on in the comments. What is the volume for ruby? Okay? What's the minimum volume for ruby? It's about 2,000, right? It's 2,000 in volume, right? On average. Or that's the minimum. That's the minimum requirement. Most people, when they get to ruby, they're not doing 2,000. Okay? They're not doing 2,000 in volume. Most people, when they accomplish ruby, they're somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,500, maybe even 4,000, and some even higher than that in terms of volume. Okay? And so I look at our business through the lens of new rubies, promoting rubies, getting people to believe. Remember, we talked about this on our last mastermind session. Remember, I told you we have these sessions every single Monday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the reason being is to give you the tools, and not only just the tools, but a lot of times the philosophy, the way of thinking through your business. Because I can tell you this, to grow an It Works business or to grow an It Works income, all you're going to do is enroll new distributors, enroll new customers, and promote for events. Those three things. You're enrolling new distributors, enrolling new customers, and promoting for events. So what becomes challenging is thinking through the business. That's the challenge. The challenge in our business is thinking through it because it's really simple. But what we tend to do is we tend to complicate things to give an excuse for why we haven't accomplished it. That's how your mind works. Typically, your mind, or most people, what we'll do is we'll find or figure out a way to make something hard so we have a built-in excuse for why we couldn't do it. But when it is that you make it simple in your mind, you break it down, make it simple, take what's complex and make it simple. It was Albert Einstein that said, if you cannot explain it, simply, it's because you don't understand it well enough. If you cannot explain a concept simply, it is because you don't understand that concept well enough. And so tonight, you know, one of the positions that we've created on our team is a position called Star Achiever. Why? Well, Star Achiever for us is the litmus test for someone that can go on what we call a Ruby run. Okay. Now, what is Star Achiever? Star Achiever is an individual that becomes a distributor and acquires their first 6 loyal customers within their first 30 days. That's what we call a Star Achiever. We promote them, we create a banner, you know, promoted all of these things. Why? Because now, once they become Star Achiever, guess what? They've unlocked their $150 shopping spree. Once a person becomes Star Achiever, not only do they unlock their shopping spree, but that individual also is able to earn fast start bonuses as well, okay? And then we promote them. Write this down. Men die for it and babies cry for it. Attention, okay? So we promote them. Now, after a person goes, I'm kind of taking it in sequential order here before I introduce our panelists. Now, after we take them Star Achiever, the next goal is to take them Ruby. Okay? Some people say, well, Jared, why not executive? Well, I set the goal for Ruby and we put in the executive structure. Because executive is having 3 qualified legs, right? Is that executive? Having your 3 qualified legs? Or I'm sorry, what is it, 2 legs now? See, I structure people for Ruby. I don't even think about executives. I take it from Star Achiever. Now, listen to me. You'll have people that have, again, different philosophies when it comes to the business. Doesn't make one right, doesn't make one wrong. It just is what it is. We had Jade Hooper on here, and she said, I draw people out for diamond day one. I'm like, what? Yeah, I draw people, I structure people out. I'm like, Jade, they hadn't even gone Ruby. They had, yeah, but I draw them out for diamond. Well, 10% of the top 150 is in her group. Maybe she knows what she's doing, right? Write this down. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Okay? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. But let me add a caveat to that. Are you ready? God gave me this wisdom. He says, son, numbers don't always tell the full story. Numbers don't always tell the full story. And one of the worst indicators of a healthy, growing business is volume. Sometimes we look, oh man, my volume is this much or whatever it is, and you think your business is growing, but that may not be the case. Your business may actually be in decline. Yeah, because what I look at when I'm looking for a healthy, growing business, I'm looking for the 3 vital signs. The vital signs of a business. How many times are you showing the plan? How many times is your team showing the plan a week? And how many people are promoting for events? Those are my 3 vital signs. That's what I look at. When I say showing the plan, I'm talking about giving a presentation. Now, for those of us that are marketing online using the host to post strategy, you can insert, in terms of showing a plan, how many exposures are you doing a day? Okay. That's what I'm looking for. And so I want to bring on our first guest, and we're going to kind of go back and forth. I know we've got our last guest that's coming on as well. He just sent us a message a few moments ago. But I want to bring on Sunyata Ferguson. He's an Emerald consultant, and his wife is a Ruby up in the Dallas, Texas market. And they both are building the business, meaning they're recruiting. They're both recruiting. So pay attention. For those of you that you want to get your husband, you want to get your boyfriend, you want to get your cousin, your uncle, your whatever it is, whatever male influence in your life, your male BFF, you want to get them into the business building alongside you. I want you to see examples of men that are actually doing it right now inside of It Works, okay? And so, Mr. Ferguson, why don't you come online, talk about, why it works, okay? Number one, how you got introduced to It Works, why it works for you, okay? Why did you say yes? And not only why did you say yes, why did you decide to start growing and building an It Works business?
Mr. Wilkins, can you hear me, sir? Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks you as always for allowing me to share very quickly here. It was about 2 years ago, Mr. Wilkins gave me a phone call, ladies and gentlemen. And again, please pay attention to that. He actually picked up the phone and he called me. And some of you may have heard my story before, but the day that Mr. Wilkins called me was actually the day that I had decided I was going to commit suicide because of a brain injury that I sustained in the military, and living with epilepsy. Things had gotten that bad, and sometimes you just never know what that one phone call will do for a person. So when he called me, he said, "Hey, Sundiata, we found it. I 100% believe that this is something that can help you and Pam." And the truth is, we trusted Mr. Wilkins and Mrs. Wilkins, and so the decision, it wasn't a hard decision. So once we decided, we got our products 3 days later. Now remember, we didn't really know much about what was happening, but when we got our products, ladies and gentlemen, that's when the belief level shifted. Because remember, I'm dealing with a health challenge. I get the product, and within 24 hours, we already start noticing a result. Within 24 hours, we noticed a significant result. In my case, recovering a lot faster from my seizures and not having any migraines the next day after drinking what I'm sipping on right now. Mr. Wilkins used to call this the Diamond Nectar, which is our keto coffee. And that was it. So that's the first thing. If I would tell you guys anything, man, make sure you're getting these products into people's hands, because that's what did it for us. Now, it took us a while to get going. Why? Because again, battling the challenge with my health, and I would say, as legitimate as a reason as that was, I allowed that to stop me. And I'm just going to be honest and candid with everybody. For a while, I used it as an excuse, but then something happened. Mr. Wilkins talked about 3 vital signs, right? And he just asked me why I continued to build. Well, a couple things happened. One, even though we stayed where we were, Mr. and Mrs. Wilkins kept growing. So when you look at your leader and you see your leader growing, it's like, okay, this is real. If you decide to quit, or if I had decided to quit, that was on me. It wasn't on them. That was the first thing, the first reason why we stayed. The second thing was, because of my issues with seizures and lights and so on, I didn't go to the first, our first convention while we were in the business. And I remember Mr. Wilkins, he just talked about it, how many people are promoting for events. The week before convention this year, right, he had a conversation with us. Again, picked up the phone, "Hey, we'll see y'all in Florida," right? I wasn't going. I was still holding on to the fear of what would happen with my seizures and whatnot. My wife looked at me and she said, "Hey, you know what? We're going, all right, because this year is going to be different for us." So we went to the event, and when I tell you guys, events change lives. We went to that event. I got what I needed to get. In other words, I got fed what I needed to get. And then 29 days later, we went Ruby. We hit Ruby for the first time, right? And it was because of that event. And I would also venture to share with everybody, guys, never miss an event that you're qualified to, because you never know what the story is. You never know who you will hear. I hear people say all the time, well, they say the same thing over and over and over again. And one thing I've come to learn is that if to you it sounds like the same thing over and over again, then you haven't grown from the first time you heard it.
Wow.
That's usually the issue. We haven't grown from the first time we heard it. So when we hear it again, it's like, well, why are they saying the same thing over and over? Fundamentals don't change. So when I went to convention and I heard that story, and then my wife and I, when we came back, we did 3 things. I call it DBA. No, in fact, we didn't even come back. We were still in Florida. And I remember talking to Mr. Wilkins before we left. First of all, we made a decision, right? I often hear when you make a decision, you burn or retreat. There's no more excuse. There's no more, no more going back. So we made a decision. The second thing is we have to increase our belief quotient. In other words, we didn't know when we left Florida how we were going to get to Ruby. We just believed that in February we were going Ruby. That's it. We just believed. And then the third thing, the A, was we just took action. We got back to Dallas. My wife had her list. I had mine, and we went to work, Mr. Wilkins.
Let me ask you this, because a lot of the times, people ask these questions, and you talked a little bit about you guys' story, and y'all light up the chat if you believe that these products are life-changing. Light up the chat if you've had any experience with the products, and the products that we market, the products that we utilize, if they've been a blessing to you or anybody you know. Because I think people that are on this Zoom tonight, they need to see this. They need to see and hear stories like Sunyata just told, in terms of, man, this is somebody, I didn't know he was, literally about to commit suicide because of what he was dealing with, but a phone call about something as simple as It Works products. Something as simple as the Diamond Nectar, keto coffee. I still call it our Diamond Nectar, okay? And so is Skinny Brew. It's the Diamond Nectar. 2 cups a day, you get the Diamond right away, okay? So if you hadn't got the Diamond, increase your keto and keto coffee and your Skinny Brew coffee intake to at least 2 cups a day. Well, Jared, I don't know. See, that's why you're not Diamond yet. You gotta get the Diamond Nectar in you, okay? Now, Sunyata, talk to us about, before I go to Coach Juarez, you said something about a list. Now, some of us on here, we're familiar with putting together a list, but walk us through what that is. What is that strategy? Because I want people to be empowered to hear that there are different strategies. Like I always say, 2 + 2 is 4, but so is 1 + 3. And I don't like getting into, which strategy is best or which one is the least resistance. I just like people to hear the 2 + 2 strategy and the 3 + 1 strategy and determine which one that they're going to use to solve their personal and their financial goal equation. And so talk about that. What does that look like from a standpoint of the point you made a decision, okay? You MAD, you got mad. You made a decision after conference. That's what we call a hint, hint, clue, clue. So if you don't have your conference tickets yet, your online conference tickets, you want to get those immediately. Why? Events build belief. Write it down, please, class. Events build belief. But Sunyata, take me from the point of coming to the event to making that decision, getting mad, okay, making a decision. And then you said you put together a list. How many names on the list? What is this list? Where do these people come from? Do they run across the street when they see you? Did you call them? Did you text them? Did you inbox them? How many people were on the list? How many calls did you make? Take me through, walk us through that process.
Sure, definitely. In fact, we were in the hotel lobby when we made the decision, and there's a picture that Pam posted about a month or two ago when we made the decision. And right there, when we were sitting in the lobby, she said, "Okay, go order some food." Got the food, and let's sit down and write the list. So she took the picture. I'm next to her. I'm writing out a list. She's writing out a list. And ladies and gentlemen, the list came from our phone. Most of us, on average, have at least 200 people in our phone. Now, the problem that I struggled with initially was, I said, right there, I'm sitting next to Pam, and I said, my family don't want to do this, right? She said, "We're not worried about that." And I said, "You know what? You're right." So I just wrote people's name on the list from my phone in alphabetical order. Most of them actually are family members, and some of them are coworkers, former coworkers. So we did that, and at minimum, whenever Pam and I are running, at minimum it's usually about 100 people, and we don't care about the outcome. We don't care about who we think are going to say no. In fact, we look at it like this. McDonald's doesn't care that there are vegans driving down the street. They still advertise to them, right? So we put together the list, and then once we had the list written out, we said, okay, we'll take time, we get back home. And once we got back home, I set a goal to do at minimum at least 10 exposures a day. Right? And that's what we were doing. And now the good thing was we had already had a decent customer base. As soon as we came back, because they had launched the the chai tea and stuff like that, we had new products to run with. So now, our customer numbers exploded, and then a few people here and there said yes to becoming distributors. Remember, we had been in over a year, right? Because we launched with Mr. and Mrs. Wilkins, but we hadn't made that decision to run like we were. So we were just contacting people. And so I would contact some people, Pam will follow up, or Pam would contact somebody. She's like, hey, Sundiata, I spoke to such and such. Can you follow up? And again, it was an average of 10 people a day. And I don't even remember how many people we got to. All I know is by the 28 days in, we looked at the volume and it was like, whoa, we did it, right? We did it, but we stayed consistent. And the other thing was, every Zoom call that at that time, Mr. Wilkins and the team, Mr. Fisher, and they were doing Zoom calls frequently throughout the week. We were making sure that we were inviting and having guests on every single call. And that's another thing, guys. The system is there. We just had to plug in and run with it.
I recall one conversation. I don't know, is Pam on? Is your wife on?
She is on here.
Let me find Pam, because I want
I'm
Pam
here.
to say something. Pam, come on real quick. And this is not even, guys, I told you I was going to interview the guys, but I just feel compelled to do this. Pam, do you recall when we came up to Dallas? Guys, this is a true story. We came up to Dallas, and I want to show you guys the power, and not only the power, but the power and the necessity of alignment. Write this down. And Pam, I'm going to ask you this question. I want everybody to write this down. God does not pour his blessing. He does not pour the blessing on anyone or anything that is out of order. Write it down. God does not pour the blessing, not a blessing. There's a difference between a blessing and the blessing. Jared, make it plain. The blessing of the Lord maketh you rich and added no sorrow to it. The blessing. The blessing. I want to, Pam, this just flashed when your husband was talking. Because what I'm attempting to do tonight is empower and inspire you women that are out here growing this. I'm telling you, two is the first number that can be multiplied. Are you listening? 2 is the first number that can be multiplied. That's why I said, if one can put 1,000 to flight, 2 can put not 2,000, but what? 10,000 to flight. And if tonight you walk away with an understanding of how to get that second person, whether it's your husband, whether it's your boyfriend, your significant other, your brother, that other man or whoever it is, to buy into the vision of what you're doing, I believe multiplication can take place. But we've got to get on the same page so that the blessing can be poured on your business. All right, here it is. Savannah Andrews, I see you in your, I see y'all over there. How y'all doing? I see y'all. All right, so here we go. Pam, what happened when we were out there? We were launching Alice and Genga. There was something that took place. You had a conversation with me. He's like, oh, I wasn't going to let that happen. And walk us through that experience, because I remember when the light bulb went off for you guys. I mean, it was just, I just remember that moment. But walk everybody through that moment of when it happened. The light bulb went off and you guys are like, oh, it's on.
So it's funny because I was that person who, you have that training on quitting as a process. Yes. I was in that process. And so yes. I was really just a customer at that time who had a distributor account. And we came to that private party, the launch party, and it was it was just, I'm just so happy that we were invited to that. And so I just followed, I was just like, do it. So I invited people, and when I got there, her living room was full. And then I was thinking to myself, okay, Pam, you guys have been sitting on this for over a year, and we get to this lady's house, and she got a living room full of people. And I was like, I can't do it. I cannot have this opportunity have had the impact on some people's lives thus far and not follow through. And then you asked us, were we going to be at conference? And I was like, I didn't even want to answer you. And then you kind of let it go. But then I saw, it was the look on your face, and you said, I need y'all to be at conference. And I was like, okay, we there. And so at that moment, I was not going to let Alice, I love Alice. She was very nice. But my whole thing was, she cannot just come in and explode like this. And we've been here. And so for me, that was my light bulb. People showed up. The guests that we invited showed up. We got some distributors there. We got some customers there. And it was just, from that point, really, Sundiata said it was when he went to the event, because immediately after that was the event. But it was at that point where we saw some action getting ready to happen in Dallas, and we didn't want to miss out.
Wow. So I wanted her to say that, because a lot of times you cannot quit the business because you don't need to prove the doubters were wrong. Sometimes you need to prove the believers were right. Write that down. See, I am at this stage in my life, I'm not in the business of proving the doubters wrong. Oh, I'm going to show you. No. I don't have time to buy into that philosophy. I'm going to show you, because here's the deal. After you show them, they still won't believe. You understand? After you show them, they oftentimes still won't believe you. Sometimes you hear people say, well, you go be successful first, and then I'm going to get started. Well, you go out and you become a VIP. You go out and you become top 150. You go out and you become, a triple or a presidential ambassador or a millionaire club member or whatever it is. And guess what they're going to say? Oh, I should have got started when you got started. So I got out long time ago of two areas. I got out of one area, which was trying to prove the doubters wrong. And I got out of competition with other people. Okay. And so what I mean by competition against other people, trying to outdo them, trying to beat them, trying to beat their income, trying to beat their rankings in the company. At that time, we didn't have rankings in the company, but because I got over this years ago. Okay. Everybody say years ago. Years ago, I got over the competition thing. But what I noticed was I didn't have to be in competition against somebody, because when I'm in competition against somebody, that means I get to win and they have to lose. I decided to be in competition with them, meaning bettering my best, being inspired by what they were doing and what they're accomplishing, and saying, man, I've done good, but man, I could do better. I've done good, I can do great. Man, I've done great, I could go to a whole nother level. And that's some philosophies that you ought to have as well in the business. But let me go up to Coach Juarez. I'll come back on over to Mr. Ferguson in a moment. I've got more questions here. And guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got questions you want to have asked, if you've got my cell phone number, you can text them to me or you can put them in the chat, and we will certainly ask your questions directly as well. But Coach Juarez, it says, ask them, why don't you come on and talk about, I think you and Vivian, you have such a compelling story, but talk about, how you were introduced to It Works. Talk about how your sponsor ran and abandoned you and ran back to another company. We're going to tell the truth, shame the devil tonight. I'm just being facetious, but they did have a company, they did have a sponsor. How many of you have had sponsors that told you one thing and things changed? Well, that's been their story. But talk about how you're introduced to It Works. Talk us through that process of sponsorship and all of that, and how you're building the business.
All right, all right. So thanks. First, thanks for allowing and affording us the opportunity to share. So, almost 2 years ago now, we got started in October of what's this, 2018, and basically, man, we were watching you, Mr. Wilkins, and we saw our sponsor kind of make some moves, and we were like, hold up. What's going on? Because we've always you are a dear friend to us, and our sponsors are a dear friend to us, and so we were already in the health and wellness arena because that's our passion, that's part of our ministry, and so we were just looking. I knew we were searching for something. Didn't know we were searching for It Works because we had heard some things, and we thought that It Works wasn't the vehicle for us. But we had never actually sat down and gotten information. We just heard some things, right? Yes. And I know we have Tracy Fisher on the line. He alludes to it all the time. I just couldn't see myself rapping women. I just couldn't see it. and so we had heard some things and automatically disassociated. Even though we saw people winning on a high level, it works. So when we saw that you all made the transition to It Works, and then also because the gentleman you were talking about, he was also our senior business partner in our other opportunity. When he made the transition, we were like, well, hold on. Well, let's take a look at It Works. Let's really see what's going on, because obviously there's something. We trust Mr. Wilkins. We trust his understanding of the industry, his leadership. There's something that we're missing. Let's really take a look at this thing. And so we came over, got the information, and we were like, man, this is when we talk about perfect maturation with our ministry and the mission and the products of It Works and the, I guess, the ease in which people can consume them and get results. We were like, man, they don't have to go on a 500 calorie diet, because we were putting people on, we had people on all kinds of stuff, man, to get them to their process. They would find it very difficult to stay with that process. So we came over here, man. It's very simple, just the greens and so on and so forth, the coffee, people getting results. It's like, man, this is great. So about 2 months into the process, we get a call from our sponsor when we made the transition. He said, well, man, some things happened. I'm going to go back to where we were. Now, that was a blow, but at the same time, it really wasn't that impactful because we knew you, and we had, you essentially, it didn't bother us that much at all, so it's like, okay, well, but here's the thing. I think it psychologically did something because we didn't push as hard as I knew we should have in the beginning, and so it's like it kind of knocked some of the wind out of the sails. And so we just kept coasting, man. We coasted for about a year, year and a half, a year and a half. I mean, we put customers in the business, loyal customers, because that's what we do. I mean, that's our part of our ministry. We're going to get people on a product so they can get the results and get to their health goals, man. But we coasted for about a year and a half, man. And then, but I do remember when we got started in November of 2018, October 2018, we had a conversation with you, and you said, well, you asked us, you going to conference? And we didn't plan on going to conference. We had just got in, we just got started, so we were like, well, no, didn't. And you were very candid with, you said, hey, I'm going to always be upfront with you. I'm always going to coach you and tell you what you need to do. And you said, you need to be at conference. And so I remember like it was yesterday, we literally, man, we scraped together, we got all these gift cards for Christmas, right? We scraped together the monies from the gift cards and bought our conference tickets, right? And we were there, we were at conference. And that gave us the bigger picture of It Works Global. And we was like, man, these guys here at It Works, it's like, man, this is where we're supposed to be all along. And so man, it's like, man, we were listening to all these people and all this get this misconception of what's going on. And here we get to see the actual factual, and it was mind blowing Man, and so we felt very comfortable with our decision, and so we're just putting on in lower customers. We're getting distributors, DTs, and stuff like that, but we really hadn't mastered the art of duplication. That was for that whole year of getting DTs and trying to navigate the art of duplication with these new DTs in this new company, and 2020 hit. We fast forward a year, man. 2020 hit, went to got back. We got back from conference. We were super excited about everything going on. And it was April. Everything is shut down. And our volume was about 1,000. We had 1,000 group volume. We were structured for Ruby, but we just didn't have all the volume in place. And I never forget it. We had a conversation with you, right? You laid out the game plan for. So guys, that right there, always talk to your coach, because he'll lay out the play for you. He told us exactly what to do. He broke it down for us. Okay, well, you got X amount of weeks, how much volume you need. Let's break it down day by day and let's get it in. And so, and then also you shared some other information with us about volume placement and so on and so forth that we didn't know. So it was aspects of the business that we still didn't know. And it's like, we thought about this and man, had we known this a long time ago, we probably could have done some things, right? And so in the middle of at the beginning of the pandemic, everything closed, people, everything's haywire. We went Ruby in April, right? Wow. And we've been re-qualifying ever since. And it's been great, man. And we've just been growing now. We're starting to get another leg of Ruby that's right there on the brink of hitting Ruby. So now we're just pushing for Emerald, man. It's been wonderful.
So tell me this, and Vivian, I'm gonna bring you on because I brought on, Sunyata's wife. I might as well bring you on too. We had a conversation as well. We always have these conversations together, but you were talking about how excited and how proud you were of your husband. He got a hold of this host-to-post strategy, and he's got customers like crazy, got new distributors. Talk about, like, what does a day look like for you guys, working the business as husband and wife, man, woman, working the business. What does that look like for everybody on here? What does that look like on a daily basis? Are you guys posting? Are you inboxing? Are you doing phone calls? Walk us through what that looks like.
Can you hear me, Mr. Wilkins?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, Coach Juarez is very competitive, and he does not like being outdone. So once he's even competing with people on the team, but they don't even know they're in competition with him. Because if he find out somebody has put in more customers than somebody, then he'll go and put in more customers just to say, I was the one that did the most on the team. He's just very competitive. So a day in this household is him yelling. We're both making phone calls though. We do take it seriously. We have fun, but we do the plan. We put in the work, which is making phone calls, the host to post. Now that we know how to do it, it's been very, very effective. It has really spread our business out, the host to post. So once we gravitated and took a hold of that, because we had to learn something new because of the pandemic. So once we took a hold of that, a day in the life here is host to post, laughing, talking out loud, being in competition. That's what it's like over here.
I think it'll be so unique to really ask this question too. You guys make phone calls, right? Mm-hmm. And some of us on here, we never use the phone. Some folks just never use the phone. What are you saying to people? Coach Juarez, why don't you start with you? What are you saying to people to get them to become a customer? What's a phone call
Well, typically it always stems from my hoster posts. I engage with hoster posts. The way that we're going about it, some of the strategies we use some giveaway strategies. We have cash giveaway strategy on some of, and so either way, the hoster post, you engage you get a chance to meet new people. Because when somebody posts something on their page, people that their friends become your friends essentially. And so it always starts online, whether through Messenger or whatever, and then I ask for their phone number and their email address, right? And then after they've looked at, I've shared some information with them, whether, let's say for instance, if it's the tummy wrap, well, I call it the tummy wrap challenge. But if I show a video about the wraps, then I'll go on, I'll call them directly and have a conversation to kind of understand what it is they're looking to do. Because you have to remember, that's our ministry. We want to understand what it is that they're looking to do from a health and wellness standpoint. And then we prescribe the proper supplementation as well as proper eating habits to achieve that goal. And so I always start online, but I take it offline to personalize it, because at the end of the day, these people, whoever the person is, they're going to be our clients. And we want to make sure that they reach their goal and maintain their goal. And so we always have to personalize it and making it more personable with them.
Yeah, got you. Sunyata, let me go to you real quick. I know It Works has a lot of successful women in it. And you as a man, you're a minority, meaning you're not, you're an anomaly, so, you really are an anomaly. Whereas it's like, oh, you're a guy that's doing It Works. Talk to us about your perspective of that. When you talk to other guys about It Works, what are some of those questions like? What's some of that conversation like? And then talk to us about, when people ask you, well, what do you do? How do you not talk to them about the wraps, or if you do talk to them about the wraps? I mean, somebody asks you, Sunyata, what do you do for a living? What do you say? And kind of give us your perspective on this.
Okay. Well, first of all, the fact that I'm an anomaly means that there's an opportunity. That's the beauty about being in this particular company, where there are less of us that are visible, right? It means that there's a doorway of opportunity for men. So whenever somebody, that isn't sure what I'm doing, and they ask me that question, hey, so what do you do? My response is simple. It's basically my team and I help individuals really design a quality life through either health or wellness or finances, and I leave it right there. And and the reason I don't go any further is because I want them now to really open up and share what they're looking for. Because I've already told them what I do, and as you said, keep it simple, right? So once I tell them that, I wait to hear what they say. A lot of times they'll say, well, what does that mean? Or is that all that, like some people will say, is that all that workout stuff you do online, or things of that nature? And then the next question for them is usually, are you looking to improve your health in any way? I don't know any person on the planet right now that isn't looking to improve their health. Once they say yes, it's just a matter of matching them with what we have to what their goals are. In the beginning, I think my approach was a little nervous because, people know It Works for the wraps, but then I was like, well, wait a minute, Sunyata, you have a story with the coffee. What you worried about the wraps for? You have a story with the Super Reds. My son is an athlete. He uses the Super Reds and the Hydrate. I use the Super Reds to hydrate. Pam uses every product that we have. So I didn't have to worry about that. But guess what? I realized in the middle of last year that whoever is the person formulating the products for It Works, they're genius, because our products are so synergistic. It's like, for example, wrap, remove, reboot. So it's like, talk about the wraps, even for men, the men who want the six-pack. I'm not afraid to talk to them about the wraps now. Wrap, cleanse, Super Reds. You see what I'm saying? And all our products are designed to kind of work in tandem with each other. So all we have to do, right, which is what I have gotten really good at doing now, is identify what they want and then connect them to what we have. That's it. That's how my conversations are now. So what are your health goals? Oh, you want to lose 20 pounds in how long? Okay. Well, we've got the Thermophyte, we've got the Cleanse, we've got the Super Greens, and that's it.
Tell me this, you know, your next goal is, what is your next goal in It Works?
Diamond.
Diamond, okay. So walk us through a person that's headed for Diamond, PhD, person headed for Diamond, right?
Okay.
Walk us through what that looks like. You've got the goal. Are you charting for Diamond? Because I want men and women that are working with men to be empowered to know, okay, this is how I work with a guy, right? Or if I'm a guy, this is how I can work the business. I don't have to wait on my wife or my spouse, or but I was telling my brother yesterday, we're talking about business and we're talking about, you know, setting goals and how to get from point A to point B. And I want everybody to write this down. This was the advice I gave my 25-year-old brother. I said, you've got to get around the right individual. You've got to get around the right individual, not individuals, not plural, individual, one, singular. Jared, I can learn from everybody. Yes, you can. But we've got a saying, you don't eat everybody's potato salad. That's a whole different topic. Okay? Well, why is that, Jared? Well, there's nothing wrong with getting group advice. There's nothing wrong with getting information from different sources. I am not against that. But you have to understand, on every team, there are multiple players, but there's only one head coach. Are you listening to me? There's only how many head coaches? One. They got assistant coaches, you know, depending on what type of sport it is. They may have offensive coaches, defensive coaches, this person, that person, but there's only one head coach. And that head coach, listen, gives you the information. So here's my equation. Are you ready? You get an individual. You got to identify, who is my coach? Who is my head coach? Write this down. Anything with more than one head is a monster. Anything with more than one head is a monster. All right. Everybody take a deep breath. We're going to unpack it. We're going to unpack it. We've got 5 minutes, and then we got to go. Why do I say that? It doesn't mean I can't get information from the assistant coaches. Doesn't mean I can't get information from the other player. It just means I don't apply anything on the court or anything on the field until I first checked it with my head coach. Why? It is only the head coach that has the power to bench you or to start you. Shucks. Yeah, the head coach has the ability to bench you or to start you. So anytime I'm about to do anything, when it comes to our business, when it comes to anything I'm doing in the network marketing space, before I do it, I check with my head coach. So I told my brother, you've got to get around the right individual. Who is my head coach? That head coach is going to give you the right information. In formation. You got to be in formation. Beyonce wrote a song, okay, now ladies, let's get in formation. You out of formation. You know, in football, and I'm not a big football fan, I know some of you are, some of you are not. In football, Perry Beasley, what you'll find out is there's a lineman. There are linemen. There's a formation. And I used to play football. I used to play football in high school. I was pretty good. I was a wide receiver. And, you know, what you would do as a wide receiver, and I would have gone far, I just didn't like getting hit. So I quit and went and played basketball. It was a lot simpler for me. But in football, what would happen is this here. You would go get lined up, and my head coach would always tell me to check with the referee to have the referee make sure I was lined up properly or in formation so that I wouldn't be off sides. Are you listening to me? And a lot of times when it is that you're not around the right individual, getting the right information from your head coach doesn't have to be a presidential. Your head coach may be a ruby. Your head coach may be an emerald. Your head coach may be a diamond, okay? But once you get that information, that individual that gives you the information, here's what always follows individual and information: increase. Increase only follows the right individual that is applying the right information. If you don't have increase in your life, check the information. If you don't have increase in your business, check the individual. Who is my coach? Who is proof reading my plays? Who is saying, no, we're not running that tonight. We can't run that play. Right now, we're not running that play. That play, that's going to get us blocked. They're prepared for that play. Because here's the thing. During the duration of the game, different plays are called. And as a good head coach, see, your head coach, guess what? Your head coach has a head coach themselves. Your head coach is working with the assistant coaches and people that are expertise or experts in different areas of the game. They're collecting the data, collecting the information, and giving that information to guess who? You. So that you can go and increase your business. Now, Sunyata, come on to the line. What does it look like? Person headed for diamond. You've got emerald done. What does that day look like? Are you structured? Are you structuring for it? What does that look like for people that are looking to get that accomplished?
The first thing that Pam and I have gotten into the habit of doing is at the beginning of the month, I usually have a conversation with you where you give me those markers, right? You just talked about the head coach, and you usually give us those target dates. And in fact, one of the things, remember I said, ladies and gentlemen, that we went, it took us 29 days to go Ruby when we first hit it. Now, where our Ruby requalification is done within the first week of the month. And that's because Mr. Wilkins has, helped us identify the dates that we need to hit. The second thing that happens is we identify in our structure who our runners are. So, for example, I know who my three legs are in terms of who's structured for Emerald, which is actually Pam, who's structured for Ruby, and then of course we have our qualified leg. Once we identify that, then it's about also having the conversation with the team members. So, for example, I have somebody who's actually structured for Ruby. I pick up the phone, I call him, I say, hey, you are actually in position to go Ruby this month. Let's put together the game plan. This is what we need to do. This is the volume that you need to hit. And I mark out for them the same way Mr. Wilkins gave me the dates. Hey, Sundiata, in order to go diamond, you need to have Ruby done here. You need to have Emerald done here. And then for them, I do the same thing. Hey, we need to make sure that your executive is done by this date, and then your third qualified leg by this date, and then we build from there. And again, I know, and one thing I want to tell you guys, something that Mr. Wilkins told me: do what works for you. In fact, Pam and I were at a point where we were struggling a little bit, and we were getting frustrated. And again, he said, call your head coach, right? So Pam spoke to him first. I was kind of still trying to, you know how men do. We still try to, I'll figure it out. But Pam spoke to him, and then Pam came and talked to me, and she said, hey, you know what? This is what Mr. Wilkins shared with me. I said, okay. And then I called you, and we had that same conversation. And you talked about going back to doing what got us to Ruby in the first place, right?
Mhm.
Which was picking up the phone, making the phone calls, and that works for us. For some people, host to post works, and if that's working for you, you just have to do more and more and more and more and more of it. There's no one way, there's no wrong way, there's no right way. It's what's resonating and working for you. So again, we mark our days for us to make sure we hit our markers, and then we identify the people who are running, whether it's to Ruby executive, people who are working towards Star Achiever, and then we give them the same markers. And then as leaders, even though we're building our business and we're still recruiting and prospecting, we're there supporting them. In fact, I did what I saw Mr. Wilkins doing. We started doing our own Zoom calls.
Wow.
I was like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I can read the presentation. So we started doing our own Zoom calls every single day. Now what we've done is we plug people into the team calls, and then on the days when the team doesn't have a call, we do our own Zoom call. And the reason we do that, ladies and gentlemen, is to make sure that we stay in alignment with the voice, the message, and the vision of Team Build It for Your Last Name. In fact, if you guys look at my Facebook, you'll see I talk a lot about Impact 1 Million. Well, Mr. Wilkins told us at the beginning, as an organization, we are going to touch the lives of 1 million people with this vision. And so we stay on message with that. Again, people want to know that they're part of something bigger and something exciting. What's more exciting than impacting the lives of 1 million people? So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Wilkins.
That is, it resonates at a deep level. And so for those of you that are listening, you want to have a compelling vision. You start off with a vision for what you want to accomplish, which is phenomenal. And then you want to tie people into a vision much larger than just your personal accomplishment. Now we're getting ready to close out. Let me go over to Coach Juarez. Same question, as we get ready to close here. What does it look like a person going Ruby to Emerald? What are you working on? What are you closing out this month with? What's your daily schedule looking like as you get ready to close out Emerald?
Well, literally on the chairs directly across the table here, we have our charts. We have 2 of them. So we see them every day. You can't see them, but we see them every day. And so we know exactly, we have our entire team on the charts. We know what everybody's volume is. We know what everybody's goal is. And so we basically, we're structured for Emerald, but so now we just have to fill in the boxes as far as to get our other team members to their designations, Ruby and so on and so forth. And so that's pretty much what the goal is, Emerald. And so, through host to post and teaching other people how to duplicate host to post, and those who feel comfortable, because, that is everybody's level of comfort. We're old school, so we're comfortable with making phone calls. Everybody's not comfortable making phone calls. So, so whatever people are comfortable with doing, whether it be building strictly on social media, online, offline, whatever it is, we really show them and guide them how to master that, because we ourselves have really honed in on it to master those skills, and so that we can teach them. And and just getting with you and letting you know exactly where we are, because I know you said, hey, how you look, what you looking, how you looking this week. And we got structure in place. We just got to get the duplication, so on and so forth. But yeah, so that's essentially what it is. We have everything structured, and just putting in the work, putting in the LCs, and getting the necessary volume in place to get everybody to their designation, so then we can in turn get to ours.
Well, absolutely. That's the key, guys. So in closing, one of the things that I will say closing out this mastermind session for all of you that's on here is make sure you get with your head coach, okay? Identify who that individual is. Get with that head coach and get the information so you can create increase. Get the information, apply the information, and I promise you, you will get the increase. The right individual. Who is my head coach? Who is the one calling the plays for me? Now, I said something earlier. Some of you, only God can. God works through people. Whenever he wants to bless your life, he sends you somebody. When he wants to protect your life, he removes somebody. You can always connect your prosperity to a person. You can always connect your seasons of lack to a person. Jared, make it plain. All right. We talk about accomplishing things, right? I was looking, and I'm done. If you need to log off, I know we're 7 minutes over. You can log off, but I'm closing now. Thank you so much, Coach Juarez and Vivian White, for being on. Thank you so much, Savannah Ferguson and your lovely wife for being on. I think you've given tremendous value just through your example and your story. But I want to close out with talking about the team. You know, right now, one of my favorite pastimes, and I talked to many of my friends about this, Tracy Fisher included, about the Los Angeles Lakers. I will tell you, I am not a Los Angeles Lakers fan. I'm not a fan of the Los Angeles Lakers. I am a fan of LeBron James. Unashamedly, unabashedly, I'm a LeBron James fan. By show of hands, how many of you have heard the name LeBron James? You heard LeBron James. Come on, put it in the chat. Even if you don't watch basketball, you don't follow basketball, you're not in basketball, but you've heard the name LeBron. You know why you've heard the name LeBron James? The reason being is because whenever you become a champion, it commands attention and demands respect. In any field, when you become a champion, it commands attention and demands respect. LeBron James joined, a team. The individual joined a what? A team. He joined an organization, a team. You are an individual, but individuals don't win championships. Shucks. Teams do. He joined this team, the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm closing. Kamisha, I'm closing. I know you're getting sleepy. So he joins this team after winning a championship for another team or two other teams, the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Same individual. The Miami Heat nor the Cleveland Cavaliers have won a championship since that individual left the team. Shucks. I said teams win championships, but that one individual leaving the teams has caused for those teams not to have another championship. There's no I in team, but there's an I in championship. There's an I in champion. We cannot win the championship without you, this individual. LeBron James joins the Los Angeles team, and immediately he joins because they recognize his experience. They recognize his greatness. They start counseling with him on who should be a part of the team. He says, yeah, I see what you got. I'm coming. I see this person. I see that person. And they start rearranging things. They started rearranging things to make sure it was in alignment to win a championship. His first year on the team, he got him to the top 4 seed. He was number 4 income earner in the company. Got him to number 4. Then he gets hurt. He gets hurt like many of you individuals will get hurt while you're playing the game. You heard Savannah Ferguson. He said, I was hurt. I sat on the sideline. You heard Coach Juarez. I was hurt. See, what happens is this. You hear differently after you're healed. Shucks. You hear information differently after you're healed. The reason why you're offended by information is typically because you're hurting. They didn't go to the playoffs. The Lakers, not LeBron, but the Lakers. The whole team did not even make it into the playoffs last year because he was hurt and he couldn't lead. You got to be careful how you kick leaders when they're hurting. You got to be careful how you talk about leaders when they're hurting. I've learned as a leader, and I want every one of you to hear me. I've learned as a leader, you must learn how to lead while you bleed. Shucks. You don't get to take the game off. You don't get to take the day off. You don't get to check out because you're bleeding. You've got to show up even while you're bleeding. You've got to lead even while you bleed. You've got to save even while you suffer. And he went and got healed. And he made a declarative statement, this is the season. He started moving things around. They said, oh, this is not the right head coach for the championship we're after. This coach, fire him. Great guy, phenomenal guy. They had to get rid of him. They got rid of Luke Walton. Why? He wasn't ready. He wasn't suited to be the head coach for a championship team. He's a regular season coach. And for those of you that are getting regular volume or regular results, you may need to fire the coach. And some of you need to fire yourselves because you're coaching you. Shucks. You need to get a coach. Getting a coach causes submission. Getting a coach causes you to submit. You've got to be willing to submit to coaching. They fire the coach. They trade all of the team. They traded, why? Because they needed one person. Shucks, I'm closing. They needed one person to join the team. Remember, I always tell you that my affirmation is you're one person away from a major explosion happening in your business. I'm one person away. Would you write that in the comments? I need you to declare. I really want you to start buying into that. I'm one person away from a major explosion happening in my business. I'm one person away from a championship. I told you the first number that can be multiplied is 2. You're already the right individual, but you need an Anthony Davis to join your team. And you have to be willing to let go of some of the people you've been babying. You've got to be willing to let go some of the people you've been having as your crutch. You've got to be willing to trade all of the excuses, to trade all of the naysayers, to trade all of the regular season people for the right one. They made the trade happen. And Anthony Davis joins LeBron. Shucks. He didn't join the Lakers. The Lakers had always been there. Anthony Davis didn't join the Lakers. He joined LeBron. Write this down. People don't join companies. They join people. People don't join companies. They join people. And see, they're not going to join It Works. They're going to join you. That's why I told you at the beginning of this call. Make sure you're reviewing what you're posting. Make sure you're consistent with what you're posting, what you're saying, what you're doing, because people are looking for the consistent leader. They're looking for a steady hand of leadership. Not one day you're higher than a kite, the next day you're lower than a pregnant ant. No. They're looking for consistency in leadership. Leadership is not an income. Leadership is not a title. Leadership is an attitude. Do you have the attitude of a leader? There's some of you, your attitude is already a black diamond attitude. You've got the ambassador diamond attitude. That's who people are looking for. Anthony Davis breaks his contract, oh God, to come partner with somebody that had a covenant with a championship. The right people that are looking, that right person that's looking for you is going to break their existing contract of where they are and what they're doing. They're going to break that to come join your covenant with your championship. And here they are. The Lakers hadn't been in the Western Conference Finals in over a decade, 10 years. Same team, same company, same logo, same jerseys, same stadium, same arena. But when they got the right individual, oh God, the right information started being shaded. And now they've got increase. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the month of September, for many of you, has been the greatest month of your life. You are just going to be a witness for so many others, whereas you can point back to the month of September and say, that was the month I found the right individual. That was the month I got the right information. And September is the month that increase happened. God bless you. God bless your families. And God most certainly bless your dreams. Thank each and every one of you for being on tonight. We'll be back Monday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tell a friend, tell your teams. We're back on the Mastermind session. I'm so fired up. I'm so pumped. We've got a couple of more days here. Literally 2 more days for a miracle. And the right person is on their way. They're about to break their contract to be in covenant with that championship with you. Good night, everybody.